charged, and you had a safe one as well. But welcome back in, as it was boy. I was rolling. I was last night sitting around thinking, man, I was first exhausted from the weekend. We did a bunch of stuff, thinking, man, what a weekend it was. As I started taking a lot of notes about today's show, and it is action packed with the results over the week. Ton of Huskers to get to. Robin Wash at HuskerOnline.com. Also, Brian Munson, HuskerOnline.com. Another one. We got another one in the football world. We'll talk about that. NBA, NHL did not disappoint last night unless you're a Cavs fan. Yikes. Yikes. Say that again. As well as we'll get to a little state baseball champions crown over the weekend. Whether you liked it or not, there was some big-time champions over the weekend. They got it. But again, happy Tuesday. How was the weekend? Great. Yeah, did you get out and get a chance to – how did your cheat hour go? Did you give it up for the day?
Yes, but no.
You didn't let yourself go a little bit?
I had some beverages. Didn't let the diet side of things go too bad.
Oh, didn't.
Which the beverages is part of the diet as well. But,
yeah, you had to let it go a little bit.
It was a cheat day in moderation.
Okay, that's a start.
Got some physical activity in. Threw a baseball around,
Whoa.
Memorial Day. My shoulder's sore.
Played some catch? Oh, I bet. Played some catch?
Well, not a bad day all around. But the more important thing yesterday was NCAA selection.
My goodness. Boy, God. We'll just talk.
I think we dive right in.
There's so much to get to in this world with Husker sports. Like, we might have a chance at some point this week to talk about what this year has been for Husker sports. It might go back, I know you're going to talk about Wolf football, but you might go back and look. This might be one of the collective best years for the major sports at Nebraska. That's probably a big topic coming up, is after all this is done and passed, what does this year, 2026, mean for the University of Nebraska itself? It's a big one. Husker baseball. I don't even care about the Big Ten tournament. Who cares? You got the win you needed, and it showed. But again, a couple of days ago, you get announced that you're a regional host for the first time since 2008.
It's wild that this weekend was also the 1 a.m. baseball game on a Friday night. That feels like a long time ago now. You made a selection show. You got your regional.
Yeah, you go back, you think about. I was a little perplexed for a minute on the Friday night game, but I think you could tell when you look back on it now what Friday night meant for that regional bit. Because I was perplexed as I'm watching it. First of all, come on, timing. Get that last out with 10 minutes and what'd you say, 10, 20, and 25 seconds on the clock.
Mm-hmm.
Had not flipped yet, so we're good to go. That was nice. But then the relief action. Told you, I think everything you need to know when you look back. I was perplexed when Horn came in. Like, what?
I was less perplexed because once that game started going, and they kept on pulling up the potential postseason resumes for teams, that was a game Michigan needed. Michigan wanted to make the field, which they did not. They needed to beat Nebraska on Friday night. I think Nebraska knew, avoid the bad loss, and you put yourself in a good place to host a regional. You get it. I will say part of Saturday night's performance, I think you put your chips on the table on Friday night, but you're also playing baseball until 1:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
By the time you're finally back in your bed, able to go to sleep, probably what, 3:30, 4 in the morning? 4 in the morning, probably, we'll say.
Mm-hmm. It was wild. I was up.
And then you have to turn on and play a
Charge
baseball
came
game.
off.
After you're up till 4 in the morning, then you got to turn on and play a baseball game on Saturday evening. That was always going to be a rough spot for Nebraska. That was part of the issue with the Big Ten scheduling, where you get potential for rain, and UCLA doesn't want to burn a starter. And hey, the Big Ten Network's got a chance to put UCLA in prime time. The Friday night was a fiasco with the schedule. But you got the win you needed. You get the regional, and there's some fun teams coming to Lincoln this week.
There are some fun teams we still reflected.
It's not an easy regional.
It's not. It is not. I mean, I think openings are going to be okay. It's a brutal regional. Look at it. Nebraska is the number 1 seed. Number 2 seed, Ole Miss. That was a team that was on the bubble in their tournament to host a region at one point. So we were watching that, and then we know Missouri opened them, knocked them out of it. Number 3, Arizona State.
It's a regional where you really need to score runs. Ole Miss and Arizona State have both hit at least a few home runs this year.
Yeah, and then South Dakota State, we've played them. They're the least. They're probably, if you're from the ranking side, the lowest 4 seed in the entire deal. They come in a Cinderella story with 24 and 31, 12, 15 summer league. Again, we open up Friday at 3 p.m. on ESPN Plus. I mean, got tickets, by the way. That's another story. They're on sale right now in their tiered system. They want to not. So a lot of people scrambling to do that. Getting two out there. So it is interesting as we start the week and looking at it, what that regional means. A lot to be said. There'll be a lot of questions, and as we'll probably break it down here a little bit, like what's the rotation like now?
That's what I'm most curious about.
That is probably question number 1. Who do you get in game 1? And that one, we reflect back. We played them once the winner beat them.
Yeah,
I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, right. I am taking that game with a grain of salt. A midweek game is different than a weekend game where you're putting all your chips in the middle of the table. And I'll say, you like the draw at South Dakota State.
You love it, right?
There are no bad teams that make a regional.
No. Well, you get teams like South Dakota State and things like that.
They got hot at the end of the year, won a conference tournament to make it in.
There's a chip in a chair for everybody in this thing right now. That's the way you think about it. There's a chip in a chair. That's all. I mean, anything can happen. Anything can happen.
I mean, you've seen 4 seeds go and take down 1 seed on Friday before.
Yeah.
Yes. It's common. Maybe not. It's more common than seeing a 15 seed upset a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. It's baseball. So you can't overlook anybody. And that's kind of, I think, the balancing act that Nebraska's going to have to play this week whenever you're figuring out who you're going to have to on Friday. On one hand, you got to respect every opponent you play. On the other hand, you got to ask the question, what gives us the best chance to make it through the entire season?
Yep. It's interesting.
That's the question going through children's mind right now. Throw Yas on Friday and ensure you're on the winner side of things. Because if you're on the loser side of things, good luck. Good luck.
Good night.
You give yourself
good night bailing back out of that.
So do you go, you pitch Yasa, or you go trust a guy like, say, Ty Horn or Cooper Katsky and say, make it through that game and you save your good arms for the teams that, on paper, have the most dangerous lineups.
Yeah, I tell you what, man, it is. Those are great questions. You can't take these games for granted for sure, but in my opinion, as we look at it, I think you're probably got a little more belief going back. I think it's a Kotsky type atmosphere. When you look at, you got a little more belief after his last start against Creighton. And you want to believe that your bats can get going in this type of game.
Yeah.
And these are the games right now. I'm not saying that you want to. Just win by 1 run. So this is an advance. Get yourself to the second round on the winner side. Then you go on. Then you set yourself up really well. If that is the case, if it's Kotsky or whomever, then you set yourself up to get into your regular rotation on a huge weekend, which crowds are going to be ginormous and ruckus.
And that's the kind of wild card on a Friday is what guys are going to step up and play at their best whenever there are 8,500 people at Haymarket Park. I mean, I'm not sure how many people they're gonna fit in there, but it's going to be a ton. It's going to be juiced. It's going to be rocking. Whew. Like, folks are going to be in the parking lot early on Friday, getting all set for this. I mean, it's going to be a fired up crowd. What guys do you have on this roster that can rise to that moment? You're going to need runs this weekend.
Oh,
first and foremost, I don't think there's going to be many 2-1 baseball games, if any, this weekend.
No. Ruckus, ball flying, beautiful weather.
You need to score runs. Who can step up, both from a pitching point of view, who can go play at their best whenever the pressure is high, who can kind of ride the energy from that crowd, and then what bats are going to step up, and who can kind of contain themselves in their environment and put together patient, professional at-bats. There's wild cards whenever it comes to a regional weekend. I'm curious to see how it goes, but being the team that hosts, there's more advantages than disadvantages. So you've been building to this for a couple of years now. The goal has been host a regional.
Here you are.
You're hosting a regional.
You got it.
What can you do with it? And I think we can all sit back and say, no matter what happens this weekend, it's been a fun, successful season. But you've given yourself the best opportunity that you have in 20 years to go play in a super regional. What can you do with that opportunity?
Also, on the flip side, boy, what went down at Bowling Stadium was special as well over the weekend. Nebraska gets it done in a big sweep, 2-0 to advance to the advance of the Women's College World Series coming up as their opponent in prime time down in Oklahoma City will be Arkansas. A few teams out in this group making their first chance ever down the College World Series. Nebraska was dominant in the 2 wins over Oklahoma City. Dominant in the circle.
Yep.
The circle was dominant. That postseason run and what they've done inside the circle has made them dominant. Jensen's rise, being with Fromm, what Fromm has done has been magnificent throughout the season and career. But leading up to giving Jensen those opportunities in the postseason and throughout the regular season set the tone for the moments that she's pitched in.
And if you were to take the teams and what you've seen from them in this postseason run and reseed them going into Oklahoma City, I think Nebraska would be number 1 seed, number 2 seed, somewhere up there. It was one of the most impressive super regional performances. That's a good Oklahoma State team.
That's a really good team
that you just hammered.
You took full advantage of. Inside the circle, you stayed patient. You got hits when you needed them, and you just took off.
It's one of the better pitchers in America that you chased from multiple games that you were able to put up some crooked numbers on. And I know you put up the crooked numbers when it chews out of the game, but that is the game of softball and baseball, diamond sports. Chasing the best players from the game, taking them out of the equation. Nebraska was able to do that. They get 2 huge wins, and I think they should be one of the most confident teams going to Oklahoma City in terms of the ability to go lift a trophy at the end of everything.
And it's got a new look to it. That's College World Series with some teams that probably you're used to seeing there that are not there coming up. An Oklahoma, an LSU not in there, like some dominant softball teams over the years.
It's shocking to not see Oklahoma there.
Oh, you're just used to it, right? You're used to seeing what you got. It's going to be an interesting. You got Texas Tech, Mississippi. I don't know if you saw any of that Texas Tech stuff. Boy, drama in that Gainesville regional. My goodness. A little bit of animosity at the end with transfers back and forth and hit pitches. Tennessee, Texas, Tennessee, Alabama, UCLA, Nebraska, Arkansas. There's your 8 in the pursuit. They will go off at 8:30 local time, I believe.
Yeah, Thursday night.
On ESPN2. They'll get that final. 8:30 local time as we'll be tracking those. And
should you win, you'd be playing Saturday afternoon, I believe.
Yeah, it says that's game 4. Game 4 winner. If you were to win that first one, you would be playing at 6:00 Saturday night on ESPN.
Saturday evening, okay.
You got it right here. 6:00 Saturday night on ESPN. So congrats to them. And boy, the question being is, I love the question because obviously if you hear the town or city of Oklahoma City, a lot of people kind of think back to whatever time a few months ago, what it was like to be in Oklahoma City. I expect a huge crowd of fans headed down that way to Oklahoma City.
I don't think it'll be an NCAA tournament. It's not going to be that, but Nebraska will be one of the, if not the best represented team in Oklahoma City.
Yes, there'll be a lot of that. So, boy, come by a lot of big time stuff happening in Husker sports. Also, did you see? I think this is really cool. The crew that'll be at Haymarket Park announcing.
Oh, the TV crew.
Did you see
Carl Ravitch, Kyle Peterson.
I feel like it's for real. Peterson out of Elkhorn, I believe, right? I had a buddy that I texted that to and said, former Husker said, kind of what was the story? He said somebody he got struck out a few times by Peterson, but they beat him 2-1. So I think that's cool. It feels like you got the A crew.
Yeah, you absolutely do. You look across, you have the best ESPN, ABC crew come to Lincoln doing these games. Ravitch is big time. Peterson, they're probably saving on travel costs just a little bit. And for his sake, he probably gets to go sleep in his own bed every single night, which is nice. But he gets to make the trip down to Lincoln. ESPN's both saving a little bit of money, but they also know, I mean, this is a regional that's set up for fireworks.
Huge.
There is a lot of intrigue from a neutral for what these games are. Arizona State and Ole Miss should be a high-scoring, fun baseball game, and we'll see what Friday night looks like because you're both pitching they're both likely to be pitching their aces, and they each have a good ace. But I still think both those teams can swing the bat pretty well.
Yep.
That should be an explosive, fireworks, high-scoring baseball game, and both those teams should be high-scoring throughout the weekend.
I think offense is going to define this regional.
I think they also know that the Haymarket crowd's going to be juiced.
Ooh.
With how long it's been since you posted a regional.
Good morning, Flood X10. Good morning, Arlo. Good morning, Shane. Jeff, good morning. He says, roll out with the big game Ty Horn. He's got a W versus UCLA last year in the Big Ten championship. He's tested. That'll be the question, how this rotation looks for Nebraska as they get rolling coming up. So, all right, let's take our first break. Boy, what a fire to get started. Let's, when we come back, we'll talk with Robin Washington, HuskerOnline.com. Whew.
As long as we avoid talking about my abs today, I'll be happy.
What are you talking about? Why we don't talk about abs?
No, we don't. We don't talk about them.
Doing a few things. The song, by the way, did you hear the old Rob bass?
Mm-hmm.
Rest in peace, my friend. Rest in peace. Had the funniest conversation with my middle kid last night. We were sitting there going back and forth. We're watching hockey. Then when hockey wasn't on, we were over the Knicks stuff, by the way. We were just done. We can't watch that. We then end up on the American Music Awards, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
There were some moments on there where it's like, oh boy, it's like they were throwing it back. They were throwing it back, and all of a sudden there was an award for the Black Eyed Peas. And then he started looking up he knew the Black Eyed Peas, but he didn't understand all the songs that they did.
Oh, just the run.
And with Fergalicious, Ferg. He was in so mesmerized by that. He's like, they sing that song. That was fun. And then they rolled out a throwback of New Kids on the Block. Pretty cheesy. Pretty cheesy stuff, but it was good. We kind of got some chuckles.
I'll get Rob on the line here.
Yeah. Welcome back to the Morning Hookup again. Happy Tuesday. Boom, boom, boom. Bring our guy, HuskerOnline.com, Robin Washington. Watch what's up, brother.
What's happening, fellas?
That Black Eyed Peas, I was having that conversation with my kid last night with Ty last night. He didn't realize how many Black Eyed Peas and Fergie Run, how good it was.
Wow, yeah. They did have quite the run, didn't they?
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. He was like singing song, like going like they sing that. It was just kind of cool with that.
I mean, it was like that late 2000s. They just had a run with what was the album with the guy with the green face, the END? Great album.
Yeah.
I mean, it just hit after hit after hit.
generational run, some might say.
Yeah. It was pretty good. We were watching, and he's like, I'm so intrigued by it. So, but again, we got Robin watch, so HuskerOnline.com. Hey, Rob, I want to overall ask you, but I asked the question earlier about when you look back and you've been covering basketball and Husker sports for a long time, you look back at all these runs that these teams are having, and I know football, a bowl game will take that, but basketball, men's and women's, softball, baseball, wrestling, but how would you compare in your time how special or the achievements of this year has been compared to other years? Because it feels like it's one of those years you're going to look back and go, boy, what a run for Husker athletics in 2026.
Yeah, I mean, when you just take in the totality of all the sports that have had this level of success, where, obviously basketball did what they did, but the women making the tournament and volleyball going to the Final Four, and baseball hosting a regional for the first time in 18 years, and softball going to the CWS, that's about as good as it gets. And I think it puts Nebraska in a territory where, over the past sports calendar year, they've had about as much collective success as anybody in the country. And, that I think says a lot to where, people sometimes get so pessimistic about football falling short of expectations, but there's been a whole lot more to enjoy and really kind of sit back and really appreciate as a Husker fan that, if you go beyond the scope of football as everything, there's been a whole lot for Nebraska fans to cheer about and enjoy over the past year. So, football got to a bowl, it's not like they were a 2-win season or anything like that, but you just imagine, you see the craze that happened with basketball and what happened with, with what's going on with baseball and softball. Just hard not to imagine what it would ever be like around here if football got back to being a legitimate championship contender. I think it would be all of those crazes that we've seen over the past year with all the other sports, probably multiplied by 100, because as disappointing as things have been, this is still a football state. And while all these other sports winning is great for the state, the city, the university, it's hard just to imagine what it would be like if football ever got back into that territory.
Well, also, if you look across collegiate athletics, I mean, Nebraska's no exception. If you can't cut it in football, it's really hard to make ends meet for your other programs. Football pays the bills, even now in the NIL era where football's driving donations. You got to have at least a semi-competitive football team and a competitive team that's financially healthy in order to support the other sports that you got going on in Nebraska.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's so it all comes down to. I mean, football is the moneymaker because of the television and the tickets that they sell and all the branding and marketing that comes off of that specific sport. There's football is king in America, and from the NFL to college football, basketball is great. I love it. Baseball is great, and all that stuff. Volleyball is unparalleled. But in the end, all of them take a back seat to football. And while they're doing their part to kind of keep the mental health and fandom going for the time being, it all comes down to football success. And that's why the resources are allocated the way they're allocated, and the amount of support that goes to football, because when you are a championship level football program, all boats rise around you. And that is still priority number one, I think, for Troy Dannon and the athletic department, is you got to find a way to get football back to a seat at the table, especially with just how much that gap between the haves and have-nots continues to grow.
Again, we're speaking of Robin Wash with HuskerOnline.com, by the way, to put out what one of my favorite posts of the last few weeks was that finally it came true. You said, everybody relax. Orm is in. I can stop talking about it now. And it's finally done. But these guys are going to get kicked off about, another week or so, June 7th. And I think the question would be is, on June 7th, they got a lot of stuff going on. Will everybody be there? Are we healthy? I know that Price has been going through. He had the sword hernia stuff. Connor, I believe, is back. Will this be a full squad getting back into it come June 7th?
So that first week, the unofficial date is the 7th, and then the first actual at the facility team activity stuff is June 8th. And a lot of that is just like acclimation. So all the new guys, as far as I know, are going to be there, and they'll, kind of get integrated in classes. We'll start the summer session and just kind of get familiarized with, get set up a place to live, and just kind of do their physicals and medical testing and all that stuff, which is a standard procedure every year. So I'd say that first week, beginning officially June 8th, will be mostly just kind of easing back into the process. So guys like Price, guys like Connor, they won't do much. And really all it is individual small group workouts. A lot of the focus will still remain on strength and conditioning and system installation. So, the older guys that have been a part of the system, the installation part, really isn't that big of a deal. It's more just kind of getting the new guys in town, on campus, on the practice floor together to try to get the ball rolling. And I would say probably come July is when the full team activity stuff is going to start to ramp up. But I would say for the first month or so of June, it's going to be mostly just a gradual easing everybody in. But yeah, it's interesting. They don't have any guys that are going to play for national teams this summer. Leo's staying on campus to help, kind of accelerate his development. And so, yeah, I think everybody's going to be there. How much some of those guys, especially ones coming off injuries, do over the first few weeks, probably pretty minimal. But I would say by the end of the month and entering July is when it'll be full force. Everybody kind of starting to do some full team on court activities that really ramp things up.
Robin Washut with us here. And Robin, as you look ahead at this offseason, you mentioned a guy that I'm really curious to see the offseason development of with Leo. Who are the guys that you have circled that could potentially take a jump or need to take a jump if Nebraska finds success next season?
Yeah, Leo's up there for sure. Getting Wilkinson from South Dakota State helps in a big way to take some of the pressure off of him, because before they added Damon Wilkinson, it was Leo's your number 2 center, and there really wasn't anybody else. And so they were in a position where they really needed him to take that jump. Now they still do, but at least you have another fallback or another piece that can give you some more minutes and take some of that pressure off Leo. But he's still a very intriguing piece for the future, not only just for this coming season, but he's still a young guy that has just scratched the surface of his development. And with the intangible tools, his height, his length, his skill with the basketball for that size, there's a lot of potential there that Nebraska's really hoping to unlock starting this season. Now, you go back a year ago, he raised a lot of eyebrows with how quickly he was adapting to things last summer as a true freshman, and left to go play for the Icelandic national team at the FIBA games. And I think that kind of paused his just development acclimation at Nebraska at an important time, to where when he returned, he was still having to catch up a little bit. So I think that's a big part of why he's staying around this summer. Probably because he saw, look at what happened with Berke last year. He was the same type of deal where he was leaving every summer to go play for the Turkish national team. Decided not to last summer, stayed around Lincoln for all but maybe a week or two. And he had an incredible off season and had the best season of his career last year. So, that's kind of the example of what a full summer on campus, just really kind of going head first into your development here at Nebraska can do. So I think Leo's hoping to follow the same path. And if they can get a big jump out of him, that changes a lot, because, you can't teach height, can't teach length, and you can't teach that level of skill in that type of size that Leo could potentially unlock here.
Watch you talk about those guys that are still around. Let's talk about a couple of the freshmen real quick. I know we've mentioned them before, but there'll be a big jump come from high school going into D1 to Big Ten basketball. If one of them has the chance to make an immediate impact or get into that rotation, which one would it be and why?
I think they both have a chance. I would probably give Jacob Lanier a bit of an edge just because there's not as much established depth in that backcourt. They have some older guys, but, a lot of those are new pieces. And you need ball handlers. And, you got Lenhart, Jacobson, DeGorville, and I'll probably blanking on some other guys. Like Price can bring the ball up, bring the ball up. But I think, if Jacob can come in and show that he's physically ready to, be a Big Ten ball handler, because I think that's probably his fastest ticket this year. I think he's more of an off-ball guy, like when all's said and done. But if he can come in and help in that role right away, that might be his ticket to having a pretty substantial role in the rotation. But, it's just unknowns right now. Like that jump is different for every single player that goes from high school to major college basketball. And some guys, it's no big deal. And they hit the ground running and show they're ready right out of the gate. Others, it takes some time. Like Braden Frager, it took him a whole year to be ready. And, that kind of just shows you that while these guys might be good enough, the jump is massive in a lot of ways. It's not just about being big and strong too, but just the speed of the game, the ability to think on the court and have that basketball IQ be where it needs to be to execute, especially with kind of what Nebraska demands offensively and especially defensively. Like that's a pretty big transition. So I don't think it's a matter of skill and ability with Jacob Lanier and Colin Rice. I think in those regards, they're both ready to play right now. But how quickly they can, acclimate themselves physically and mentally to this level over the summer is going to be pretty important. And it's good that both those guys will be here from day one of summer workouts. And I would say, you talk about older guys, those first few weeks of June might not be that big of a deal. It's going to be a pretty massive first few weeks coming up next month for those guys in particular to hit the ground running with their development.
This is probably a way too early time to ask this question, but on the heels of what offseason development could look like, what are you going to be most curious to track in those exhibition games coming up in October? You got two good exhibitions, St. Louis and BYU. What do you want to see in those games? And this answer will probably change in the coming months, but as of today, what would your biggest questions be?
Well, I mean, like X's and O's, it's defense. I mean, you lost Berkay, you lost Sam, you lost Jamarcus, pretty important pieces to what made Nebraska one of the better defensive teams in the country last year. And so how are they going to be able to, replicate that? Like one of the things that Nate Lenzer is so good at is masking defensive deficiencies through his system and how quickly they are able to gel on the defensive end of the floor. I mean, that's paramount for Nebraska to have any chance of repeating what they did a year ago. They have to. It starts with defense because I think they have the shooting. That's going to be there. But how well they defend will ultimately define how good this kind of year or this next year is coming off of what last season was. Then, like with always, like this is every year, especially in the portal era, when you have so many new players and so many guys that have never played second in college basketball together. How do they handle adversity? And I think that's what this exhibition schedule is all about. Like you're not doing cakewalks against, state college university from, wherever in Nebraska. Like now you're playing at BYU, you're hosting St. Louis, a team that won 29 games last year that, returns pretty much the core of that group. And so they're going to get thrown in the fire right away. And I think that's a really good thing to go through, those types of, games and that level of competition and face that type of adversity in front of fans, games that are going to be well attended. And, there's pressure there. And that's when you learn a lot about your team is how they handle themselves when things aren't going well under that kind of pressure. And so that's probably the big thing because, everything's great when, you're practicing against each other and you're playing teams that are, far inferior to what you are, but how are they going to respond against equal-footed teams that are going to be, about as big of a test as you can get. And then, the luxury is learning those lessons, going through that experience, in games that don't actually count your final record.
Again, we're speaking to Robin Watch at HuskerOnline.com. Robin, well, give us a little peek, man. Boy, tell you what, speaking of celebrations, maybe the biggest cinematic recap that Nebraska fans will have ever seen. It's Watch and Dream coming up June 15th. And Husker fans did not wait to get those tickets, as I believe you said it was like less than 30 minutes sold out Rococo. Give us a little thought on that and the celebration in hand, because I know there's other stuff that's going to happen there as well.
Yeah, it'll be cool. I know that they're doing some other stuff. Like there's, I think it starts at 6, and the movie doesn't start until 6:45-ish or something like that. So that first 45 minutes or so is going to be, autograph sessions and just kind of meet and greet with the players and coaches. And it'll be cool just to have all those guys back together. I'm curious, like, does Berke come? I mean, because for one, he's got other responsibilities. Two, the ending of that movie is them beating his current team now. So, we'll see if we'll see what that looks like. But, I think for the most part, everyone's going to be back. And then afterwards, they're going to do a on stage Q&A thing with hosted by Kent Pavelka, just kind of talking with the players with a live little 30-minute, Q&A session. So it'll be a fun deal. And I know like other fan bases are like chuckling at it. It's like, why are you making a movie because you actually had a good season? It's like, yeah, because this has never happened before. And like it's history. And, so that in itself, yeah, you do it. But then also Nebraska's social and creative teams are as good as there are in the country, in my opinion. And I've seen a couple teasers from what the movie's going to look like, and it's going to be awesome. Like it looks like you're watching like a HBO 30 for 30 documentary. Like it's so well done, so well produced that, even if you don't get a ticket to see it at the Rococo, it's going to drop on YouTube for anybody to watch. I think that following week. So, make sure to check it out. It'll be extremely well done. And it goes all the way back, basically right after the Crown, to where like that off season starts. And then it goes all the way through the NCAA tournament and all that stuff. So, it was unforgettable season. And this is, I think, going to be as good as anything that's going to document just how special that year was.
Rob, I need you to draft your ideal snack spread for a movie watching experience such as this. Give me a drink, give me a snack that you're taking into a movie. What are you drafting?
All right. Well, I'd say give me a big adult carbonated beverage to start. I'll eat popcorn, but I never like seek it out. So I would prefer. So like we do this thing at my house where we just do like pizza and movie nights. So I've kind of gotten the routine of we got to have pizza and then cap with something sweet. I like the candy that takes longer to eat, so it lasts longer. So if I have just like regular candy, it's gone and like before the previews are even over. So like give me a beer, pizza, and some Milk Duds. Woo! I like Milk Duds because they take forever to eat.
Milk Duds are fire. That's where my kids would go to right away.
I'm going popcorn and wild cherry Pepsi, but that just might be the inner child in me.
See, popcorn.
Wild cherry Pepsi is one of those things that's like only good at movie theaters for some reason. Like,
it is.
It's like a hot dog at the turn of a golf course. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Like, it's like you would never have one any other like walk of life, but for some reason it's like the go-to. Yeah, wild cherry Pepsi's fire at movies, so I'll give you that.
Yep. Boy, that's good stuff. Well, Robert, boy, hey man, we appreciate your time as always, my friend. Take care of yourself. We'll talk to you real soon.
Sounds good. See you later.
Robin Watch at HuskerOnline.com. Great stuff from him. By the way, popcorn is one of those things that's like, for me, I like popcorn, but it's got to stay away because I will not stop. There's something in the medulla oblongata. That's not even right, but it doesn't stop.
I will eat it till I hurt.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you wake up the next morning, you're like, oh, what? That's popcorn for me.
Yet it never stops me from doing it again the next time I go to a movie.
No, it doesn't. This like over the weekend, we were up hanging out, and I walked by. I was outside for like hours, and I walked in, and somebody had popped popcorn in the house. I tried to walk around it, but my hand was like really close to it. I just went 1, 2, 3, all gone. So, all right, let's take our final break. This fast moving first hour. We'll come back. Hey, high school championships. Let's talk about that and a whole lot more when we return. Yeah, buddy.
He's trying to go to a movie tonight.
Is there a mystery movie tonight? Is it mystery? No, it's not. It's Tuesday. No. We missed it yet. Well, yeah,
it was last yesterday. Week, Monday.
We're back at it today. It's baseball night. We had the weekend off. It was really nice for everybody to relax, recharge, get in the water a little bit, knowing what's ahead.
Yeah, the grind also starts soon. I enjoyed the weekend off from umpiring.
Are you back tonight?
It's not tonight. It's this weekend. The grind restarts.
Yeah. You do a Legion?
Yeah.
I was talking to someone about that. I was at a grad party about what that Legion schedule is like. Oh, my goodness. The person I was talking to said they play Tuesday through Sunday this week.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Like, it's like a 4:30 and 11:30 and a 4. It's back and forth. But I found the interesting is that, and I didn't know this, probably from a safety standpoint, I guess, like if they play in Lincoln and they're old enough, let's say they can drive. If they're in Lincoln, they can drive. They cannot drive outside of the city in Legion Ball because they don't have a bus. But apparently the rule is you can't drive on your own. Parents have to get you there.
Huh? I did not know that.
That's something I just learned because I know one of the kids at 16 has his driver's license. It said no. I just found that interesting. But that's a grind. Tuesday through Sunday this week.
Because you open up Sunday. You don't get Sunday in high school ball, but Legion Ball.
Yeah.
A ton of Sunday games. You get a lot of tournaments that go Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Big tournaments.
And they go all over the place now, apparently.
I mean, yeah.
They'll travel
all across the Midwest.
Yeah. Colorado. And so I'm like, what? We get to rock the Seward tournament this weekend.
Oh, they got a nice baseball field.
They do have a nice little complex out there.
Yeah. I believe I'm thinking of the spot.
Yeah, high schools. I think is the high school right across the street from it. Yeah, that's a nice. They do a nice job. We've played in that one even with my middle kid every year because they just do such a nice job running it. Welcome back to the Morning Hookup. Special thanks to Robin Washington, HuskerOnline.com. Look, our little state baseball got done Saturday. That's champ.
New champ in Class A.
New champ.
What a first-time champ in Class B.
Yeah, how about that? We'll start there. Lincoln Lutheran. It's 3-2 Mount Michael out there. And a double play, I hear, ended it. Line drive. Runner throw out at first. Oh, congratulations in a 3-2. Is that their first?
They're a fairly new baseball program. They used to be kind of co-op. But since Class C has come around in high school baseball, they've been able to be their own team. And after a run of dominance from Malcolm, Lincoln Lutheran.
Yeah,
they get it all the way and get their first ever state title in baseball.
Congratulations, Lincoln Lutheran. Class B, they had an intriguing game that won the last 8 innings. 10-9 over Oakland. Isn't that what you want state championships to be? Just throwing, like, again, you look at all these games, all that got them state championships all that way. Congrats to Scott Catholic because they got it done. And probably the biggest one everybody's talking about is Miller North getting a little redemption from last year, 6, 5, and 8 innings to upend Lincoln East. And they've had a great run. Miller North just was on that path. We watched the end of this one. They were getting it done on the bump in that 8th inning for Miller North.
And this is Miller North. We'll talk more with this later in the week. But another game where teams throwing punches at each other goes to extras. I think he's going to run all the way over to third base in the 8th inning. strikeout ends it. Which, let's be clear, one of the coolest ways to win. Whether it's a state title, a national championship, World Series, winning it on a strikeout.
That's just
from a vibes point of view. It's electric. It's better than a ground out, better than a fly out. Whenever you get to see the catcher catch it, everybody celebrating dog pile on the mound.
Isn't that the one the most? I feel like in baseball or softball or a sport like that, it's one of the most iconic scenes you can have. A strikeout, your glove in the air, and your catcher comes running towards you.
Yep, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Your battery mate comes out, right? It's iconic, I would call it, in like World Series settings, whatever settings, that kind of setting. Just look at your catcher, like, come on, buddy. Pretty cool moments. What gets it done?
And Luke and East, they were going for 3 feet. I mean, it was there for the taking, but you got to keep your capture. Great baseball team. They kind of stumbled down the stretch of the season as well. They lost 4 of their last 5 games in the regular season. But we flushed all that away. All the postseason roll around. And they were on another level.
Yes, they were. I've always said it seems like that. When you get in, chip in the chair, and you're playing well, the momentum going into those type of settings, those are the teams to watch out for.
And whenever the state tournament kicked off, Millard North was kind of in that second tier of like, okay, like they're there as well. Maybe they can make
almost forgotten about just a little bit.
You were talking Millard South, you were talking West Side, you were talking
East. That was it. You're right. Sometimes those teams like that are like snakes in the grass. You just don't know when they get you. So congrats to all of them, Millard North, Scott, and Lincoln. For the championship.
No, it's kind of interesting for those teams. You make it through the weekend. And now this week, Legion Baseball.
I tell you what, you're welcome to it because you're going to be back at it behind the dish and out in there umpiring in your world. Your season's going to kick up and get busy. Those kids are busy. I did not realize the grind that was Legion Baseball. As I was talking in the stream, I was talking to a former player for us that's at a said school. They go like it is tryouts, boom. They go right Tuesday through Sunday this week. It's a grind of the summer to get better.
And we talk about how quick the spring season moves. The summer season, there's so many games.
That it feels like salt dogs.
We're playing 6 games in 7 days.
Yeah, like
a tournament on the weekend. But it flies as well because you get to the 4th of July and then you're pretty much right after the 4th of July kicking off your area tournaments, your state tournament for Legion Ball. It's another season that just it flies. And there's a ton of games. There's games Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like every single day of the week. You got Legion baseball games. So these kids get in a ton of reps.
Yeah, man. It's still one of those things. It's a grind. It's hot. It's dog days of summer coming up. You just hope, and this is the dad in me, in the select baseball world, that they hope they still get a chance as high school kids to be kids. Have some fun. I know that there's goals in place where they want to be, especially the kids I know they're freshmen that are got the potential, and always to showcase your ability in front of those coaches. Next year, where do I land? Right? Where's my landing spot? Is it JV? Do I make it to varsity at that level? So a lot of good summer stuff coming up. Also coming up, we're going to have NBA, NHL. Oh, my goodness. I was locked in an NHL last night, my friend.
Last night was good. We don't need to talk about Sunday night.
We will. And Brian Munson, boy, somebody's cooking. And he's driving a Jeep. Maybe not. I don't know. But a lot of that coming up and stories that we missed. A whole lot more. Sit back, relax. We'll be right back.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and IM Texas, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/investment minimum supply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE SIPC.
1 in 3 adults has pre-diabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat juggle. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 3.333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
Oh, there's a buzz. Oh, yeah? Yeah, he's starting with the whoop. And now his speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows what he's got.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy. Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
This summer, Salt Dogs fans are making history at Haymarket Park. We're celebrating 25 seasons of grit, grins, heart, and hometown pride. Lincoln, you built this stadium. You named this team. And season after season, it's you, the fans, that keep us coming back for more. So, let our thank you be our promise. The best is yet to come. Your local tradition plays on. Get your tickets at saltdogs.com.
You touch your berry on anything to love model your home.
Craig, tell us about the Alcira skirted toilet you purchased from Handyman. The tank and bowl is kind of all one piece. A lot of the old ones kind of swooped in under the bowl, and then you had the bolts sticking up with covers on the bolts. You bump them and those covers pop off, and these are more of a flush. They're kind of smooth all the way around. They've got 2 little pop-out access plugs to bolt them down, so you don't see any of that. A lot easier to clean and wipe down. My wife really enjoyed that. We added another Toto, bidet for the master bath. There's a remote on the wall. All kinds of different options, from disinfection, heated seating, a dryer function. Pretty exciting stuff.
Toilet technology has come a long way, from skirted toilets to glazed coatings and luxury bidet attachments. See what a new toilet can do for you during Handyman's toilet sale in May, under the arch on Sun Valley Boulevard, Lincoln. Handyman. Don't forget to use your KFOR Summer Fun Punch ticket and enjoy your fun-free activities at the Lincoln Children's Zoo. Paint yourself silly. The Lincoln Salt Dogs, Sun Valley Lanes and Games, and the Lincoln Children's Museum. The Summer Fun Punch ticket has raised over $600,000 for Lincoln area PTAs and PTOs. Enjoy the summer with the Summer Fun Punch ticket. Brought to you by Amigos, Hoppy Town Juice Stop, Lincoln City Libraries, Lost in Fun, Swanson Martial Arts, Soulful Cocina, and KFOR.
Lincoln's local news, talk, sports, and weather station. FM 101.5, 1240 AM, KFOR, and KFRX HD3, Lincoln.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. A 3-judge panel has temporarily blocked another state's plan to draw new congressional maps ahead of the midterms. Lawyers representing black voters in Alabama in the state's case argued that the same panel found the state map intentionally discriminated against black voters back in 2023. 3 months of positive reports on consumer confidence coming to an end. ABC's Jim Ryan with more on what's worrying people amid the rising price of gas and groceries.
The Conference Board's index is benchmarked to a 1985 score of 100. Right now, consumer confidence clocks in at 93.1, which is lower than the April number, but better than economists were expecting. Analysts at the Conference Board say the low reading on current conditions is tempered by consumers' expectations that things will be better 6 months from now.
Continued confusion over whether a peace deal is close or not in Iran. ABC's Ian Panels in Tel Aviv.
Days of repeated mixed signals about this deal to try and end the war. And having said a solution was largely negotiated over the weekend, President Trump, hours later, advising negotiators to not rush into a deal, then writing, the negotiations are, quote, proceeding nicely.
The U.S. hitting Iran with what it says were self-defense strikes overnight. Rising concern about the Ebola outbreak in Africa, leading to limits on who can come to the United States and from which countries they arrive. ABC's Faith Abu is outside CDC headquarters in Atlanta.
Americans who are coming in from affected areas can only enter this country through airports here in Atlanta, in Dulles, in Virginia, and also starting today, Bush Airport in Houston. And they're required to undergo enhanced screenings, including temperature checks. Meanwhile, if you're a non-citizen, you're banned from coming into this country at all if you've been into those impacted areas in the last 3 weeks.
Checking the markets, the Dow is down 80 points this hour, and the S&P is up 55. You're listening to ABC News.
Enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consider required to purchase messenger data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season. I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think it could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
I was feeling the same way. After 40, the body has less testosterone, and men lose their edge. That's why I take Nugenix Total T2.
That's the testosterone booster, right?
Yes, the Total T2 is their brand new formula that skyrockets nitric oxide levels in as little as 3 hours. Since I started taking it, I've been lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. My energy is way up, and it even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles?
Yep, just in the text.
Text SPARK to 215215 for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T2, the next generation testosterone booster. Text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text SPARK to 215215. That's SPARK to 215215.
Not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any.
A serious collision in western Lancaster County. Good morning. I'm Jeff Moats. We're at 74 degrees at KFOR. A two-vehicle crash west of Lincoln on Monday evening. The Lancaster County Sheriff's Office reports the collision happened at Northwest 84th and West O Street in Emerald. 2 people involved in the crash are in critical condition. West O Street was shut down for a period of time from Southwest 63rd to Northwest 91st, but has since reopened. A fire call in Northwest Lincoln just before midnight Monday. It was reported at a home near Northwest 52nd and West Gary Gately Streets. Details are limited at this time, but we're working to find out what may have caused the fire and if anybody was hurt. A duplex fire in East Lincoln Sunday afternoon caused an estimated $90,000 in damage. Crews are called to the area of 77th and Maplewood Court, which is southwest of 84th and O, for a reported garage fire. According to LFR spokeswoman MJ Lerman, firefighters arrived to find a substantial amount of fire in the garage area. Crews were able to quickly extinguish the fire and preventing it from spreading into the home. Lerman says the fire was determined to be accidental and caused by a heat lamp being used in a duct enclosure. There are more dangerous riding behaviors on e-bikes, electric scooters, and mini bikes around Lincoln lately. And with school letting out for the summer, Lincoln police are already seeing more crashes with e-bikes and scooters.
Last year, LFR was 35 e-bike and scooter crashes. This year, we are already at 15 by mid-May, which is nearly double last year's pace.
LPD Public Information Manager Erica Thomas says parents should encourage their kids to wear helmets when riding on any of those devices. And after winning the NCAA Super Regional over the weekend, the Nebraska softball team is now preparing for the Women's College World Series in Oklahoma City. Their opening round matchup will be Thursday night at 8:30 against Arkansas. The game will be televised on ESPN2. Sunshine today, a high around 90. Clear tonight, a low of 61. Sunny tomorrow, and a high of 88. Right now, 74 in Lincoln. I'm Jeff Moats, KFOR News.
If your bun falls apart halfway through your burger, it's not the right bun. If it tastes bland and blah, also definitely not the right bun. Turns out the right bun isn't called a bun at all, but a roll. Artisan Hearth brioche rolls, to be exact. Soft, fresh, dependable, and oh, so good. Basically the +1 you want at every cookout. Artisan Hearth rolls, because sometimes a bun isn't enough.
I'm Siniqua Martin Green, and when my mother was diagnosed with cancer, our world changed forever. This experience made me so passionate about spreading awareness of treatment options, including clinical trials. I'm joining Stand Up to Cancer to get information to those who have been diagnosed with cancer and their loved ones. Clinical trials introduce new hope for patients, providing access to cutting-edge new treatments. Talk to your doctor to see if the clinical trial may be the
This is the Morning Hookup on KFOR.
Welcome back to the Morning Hookup, hour number 2. Happy Tuesday. Morning, Shane. You said you saw the new Mandalorian movie. It's on your list.
It's on my list. Well, that's probably a wait for streaming movie for you.
Yeah. Hi, Stu Malone. I owe you a call. I was exhausted yesterday. My hand was too tired to pick up my phone. And it didn't a lot yesterday. But you know what I do feel? I feel so refreshed. Hopefully that weekend was good for everybody. I feel like that. Maybe it was just the athletics that were so off the chart. I walked downstairs this morning. I got up a little later. My wife let me sleep a little later. She took the dogs out, and she goes, was that a fun night for you or what? Because for me personally, I got to watch a lot of different athletic stuff with my kids this weekend. And last night, Ty and I were locked in on the NHL. And he's like locked in on, he knows like way more about it than I do. If you have kids, the sports knowledge they have these days
like a sponge.
is next to none.
Yeah.
He can, like, you talking hockey, just being into, I'm like, I don't know. I'm really I got my glasses on, trying to figure out. Yes. Well, I took these notes. I said, who is the unsung hero of hockey games? The camera guys. Thank you for not being like ESPN Plus people or Big Ten Plus thing, because they are the unsung heroes. Following that puck around helps an old man like me with his glasses on see what's happening.
Well, I am shocked by how well the play-by-play guys can track who is on the ice for each team.
With the shifts and this, and they're changing and this.
And then, like, the lines are pretty consistent, but not always. And they're always ever changing. You got to follow who's on the ice for each team and who currently has the play-by-play guys are shocking to me, because in hockey, even there are some guys that look distinctive on the ice, and then there's other guys that just look like your average run-of-the-mill hockey player, and like you can't even see their number, but they somehow know who is out there. It's a tip of the cap to anyone who makes professional NHL hockey, the high-level stuff, watchable on TV, from the camera guys to the play-by-play operators to everybody.
It's incredible.
But yeah, how well sometimes you get those goals and you get the slow-mo replays, and it's like, how did that camera operator keep that puck in the frame the entire time? That thing's going 80 miles an hour.
Some of the views last night in the game were absolutely magnificent in that one, as again, another one goes to overtime, a highly contested game, 3-2 Carolina in overtime. Which in a game where Carolina was on the attack nonstop. I want to say at one point they might have doubled shots on goal to Montreal, but Montreal hung tough. There was a moment in this game, speaking of a big-time moment, I don't know how it went down, if you got your crew talking to you, to the head coach, but with about 12 minutes to go, there was a goal. Montreal scored a goal. But all of a sudden, the coach's challenge came out. And it might have been one of the closest offsides, not maybe yes or no calls in the entire league of the year. And it turned out to be the game changer. Carolina coach's challenge after the goal or before the goal deemed, don't know the player's name, being offside. You could see the sliver of the skate across the blue line, and the stick not in possession of the puck. Goal wiped off. Carolina wins in overtime.
Overtime was a lot of fun, by the way.
Oh, my goodness. What a match. What a game.
It felt like anyone could win that thing.
That thing's up for grabs.
That's overtime hockey. But I think the one of the things to note here is, remember what we said after game one?
Mm-hmm.
It was 6-2 Montreal. I said, it's a chess match. What's the Hurricanes' response going to be? How about 2 overtime, 3-2 winners? I mean, this is a series that's, if we're all lucky, we'll go 7.
Mm-hmm.
After Montreal won, won game 1, both those games 2 and game 3 were up for grabs. You're going to continue making adjustments. You're going back or you're staying in Montreal, excuse me here. Montreal can even the series tomorrow night. That is fireworks. I'm glad to finally see Carolina get tested.
Mm-hmm.
They are being thoroughly tested after they just walked their way to the Eastern Conference
They walked in
Finals.
that thing 9-0 to start and got to 9-1. Now they're 10-1, and there's something like that in the playoffs now.
Yeah. At least that one's fun because the Western
The other one is not. What is happening?
Well, it's fun if you're not an Avs fan, I'm sure.
Boy, the Golden Knights go for the probably not seen sweep tonight out in Vegas.
Avs can still reverse sweep.
They can still reverse sweep. There's still a lot. This thing is a slight favorite by the Golden Knights tonight.
Cale Makar coming back was big for the Avs. You could see his influence in that first period. But the Avs, they jumped out 3-0 on Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
And then here comes 3 quick goals from Vegas in the second. And then Vegas, 2 more. I mean, it's 5 unanswered goals from Vegas. One of them being an empty netter at the end. But this feels like a gut punch that I don't know the Avs can come back from. Blowing a 3-0 lead in a game you really needed. And you could sit back and say, you know what? You didn't have Cale Makar. You have him back. It's a different series now. And you jump out 3-0.
You jump out and you're like, here we go. Let's
you believe
go.
it. You can believe it as a team that, okay, we've got everything back in order. Cale Makar is back. We're firing on all cylinders again. And you give up 5 unanswered to go down 3-0.
Whew.
This is supposed to be
uphill challenge.
So it's supposed to be the season for the Avs, and you got a draw that you liked. Vegas is going BTA.
Yes, they are right now. There's just a lot of momentum on that side. They'll be back. They'll be at home tonight. That crowd will be jacked up for a possible sweep out there. Something to watch. Hey, speaking of a sweep, the Knicks. Boy.
Smoked them.
130-93 to advance to the NBA Finals. My goodness. That first time since 99, I believe it said. Something like that. Wow.
Yeah. You can't pick. There wasn't a close game in this series.
Not even a contest in this series.
And you could say the same thing about the 76ers series as well. Look at the run that New York is on.
Yeah.
They smoked the 76ers for 4 consecutive games, and now they've gone and smoked the Cavs 4 consecutive games.
Yeah.
And I know there was the 121-108 game 3. That one didn't feel as close as the final score was.
No.
It was just demolition from the New York Knicks.
Donovan Mitchell's got to be beside himself watching what he watched because he had a great series for that team. Just not enough from everywhere else. But Towns 19-14, Bridges, Brunson. I mean, they just got it from everywhere in this series. They'll advance to wait on the winner of the Western Conference, which is a phenomenal series happening right now between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Spurs. Wembanyama putting on a clinic right now as that series is 2-2. Big time game tonight. Pivotal game 5 tonight there at the Paycom Center in Oklahoma City. What gives in this one, man?
It's simple for me. The game plan for the Spurs, you just need to have Wembanyama playing on his A game. It's as simple as that. And
if he's there, it's over.
He poured in 33 points in 31 minutes.
Yeah, he's got to be the guy. But on the other side, are we making too much of the story of the flopping?
Yes, but no. But 2 things can be true. We are making too much of a story of it this postseason.
Because there's a lot of tapes, there's a lot of this and that, and it's
okay to highlight because it is an issue. It's taking away from the watchability of the NBA when you're seeing guys flailing like a fish out there on the court.
Well, and it looks like at times he's not trying to score.
Most of the time.
Right? And I don't want to make this like a big story, but it is a story right now.
I don't think it should be the story of this series, but it should be a story in the NBA right now. That you got to find a way to get that out of the game. It's driving people away from the NBA actively. And it's actively making a lot of enemies of the Thunder.
And you hate to highlight just Shea, but right now it's he's the poster child. But there's a lot. There is a lot. I mean, we can go back as far as remember when Harden used to do that, like
the rip to remove.
Oh, yuck. LeBron, you know, LeBron being 6 whatever and a mammoth man getting knocked over. There's something out there in the NBA storylines that has got to stop of that. Boy, 33-8-5 or Wembanyama the other night. Theirs came from that game the other night. The difference in the game the other night obviously was, one, you held the defending champions to 82 points. Bad shooting night. But their bench contributed. San Antonio's bench was really good. I mean, Wembanyama was Wembanyama numbers, but you get Fox back in there in that lineup, 12-10. Big night for him. Be able to handle the basketball a little bit more. Harper returned. He had 7-5, 6-7 off the bench, 6-3. There was a ton of bench points they got. Good minutes off the bench. On the flip side, they did not get the same from the Thunder.
Devin Vassal's, I think, the unsung hero of this series for the Spurs.
You see his plus-minus number the other night?
He is bringing it on both ends.
He was plus. I mean, again, it was the second best number. Victor Wembanyama was plus 29. Vassell was plus 27 on the court. Followed by Castle was plus 25. Pretty interesting.
7-game series of the chess match.
Here we go. Now your best.
What's the Thunder's? Because taking this one going up 3-2 put so much pressure on their team. This is the game that could decide the series in my eyes.
You feel like this game.
Who's got the proper chess moves?
Yeah, you feel like this is. I mean, this is probably just going out. So look at the series. All the pressure seems to be on the Thunder, and I believe, obviously, when you look at the way the schedule works out, must win for the Thunder. There's pressure on them right now. How do they respond? How's the crowd? The crowd will be electric, but how does that team respond? And how do you figure out how to defend Wemby?
You go to church the morning of the game. That's how you defend him. Get those prayers in.
A lot of those. So that'll be tonight as well. So, all right, let's take another break.
What are you watching? Are you watching that, or are you watching my Avs?
Hockey. I don't know. I have an 8:30 baseball game, so it's whatever's on before, a little bit before. Nothing. When I get home, I'll see what happens.
We'll check out sports.
We got the late tournament, not tournament. We got the late league game tonight out at Sand Hills, so we'll be out there. So, all right, let's take a break. We'll come back. Boy, it hasn't slept. Is Jeep Wade sleeping? I don't know, but he's taking over one state right now. We'll talk about that with Brian Munson with HuskerOnline.com when we return. Yeah, booty. Jeff said, he goes, I quit watching the NBA 10 plus years ago because of flopping.
It's only gotten worse.
It's just gotten disastrous. Anytime it's a story, then it's a problem. The hardest part about all of that is, I mean, you understand this from an umpire's perspective. It's the referees having to ref this. Right? They're looking like the ones that they don't call it.
That's what
What are you looking at?
You need the league. It's not on the refs. It's on the league.
Yeah.
You got to change the rules.
It's irritating. You don't know what's true and what's not when you start looking at it. I'm going to jump right into it. Right in. Timmy Alua. Is that his name? Timmy Alua?
Just Alu.
Timmy Alu. Why do I put an A on everything? I have to ask him about Cottrell to get. He's intrigued by Iowa. Mm-hmm. Boop, 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 boop. But I don't know what's cooking. Man. Welcome back into the Morning Hookup. It's that time. Tire guy, Brian Munson, HuskerOnline.com. Hey, what's up?
Dude, did you make it through the Memorial Day without like any third-degree burns? Did you man the either the Blackstone or the Traeger, or what were you doing yesterday?
I got to tell you, I am deemed the guy to cook. Like, you've ever, like, I tell people this all the time. So I think I probably grilled because we went away for the weekend, not too far from here, but once I might have grilled like 5 times in the last 3 days. But
yeah,
was the spatula at what point, like with the in-laws? When I used to go to my in-law yesterday with the in-laws house, the most honorable moment is when the spatula gets turned over to you from your father-in-law.
No, the passing of the spatula.
Yes, isn't that a golden moment? So yes, I did yesterday. My hands all there. They're I probably the hair on my arm's probably gone because we get after it. But that's a special moment. So I grill out. Yeah, I did it yesterday at the in-laws house for everybody.
That's right behind the father giving up his daughter for hand for marriage. Is that about what you're saying right there?
I think it's real. It's probably real close because I feel like sometimes in the follow a hand of marriage, it's like, here you go, your problem.
Yeah, no. Well, I guess you probably could say the same thing about the barbecuing, but I mean, yeah, no, that is a momentous occasion. Definitely something to earmark in the memory as being significant.
Well, what is, in your eyes, now that we're through it, the best grilled item on Memorial Day? I mean, there's so many options out there as we're getting into summer here.
Yeah.
Give me that number one item that you want on the grill on Memorial Day weekend.
You know, guys, I'll be honest with you. I can make a mean steak in a skillet with doing the butter and the garlic and doing the bathing, so to speak, with the spoon. So I think I would kind of bring the steak cooking inside now. And the one piece of meat that needs to be cooked that I cannot figure out a better way to do it is simply put, it's hamburgers. You cannot get around the flavor that is added by putting, just a regular hockey puck burger out there on the grill. And I tell you what, there's no better feeling than walking through the door with a tray of grilled hamburgers and just seeing a room. I mean, I'm trying to think, it was not Monday, it was Sunday. My son decided to go golfing. So he and a couple friends were there. So we cooked up enough basically to feed what would probably, be a small high school football team. But they, devoured it. And I tell you what, that was such a great feeling just because, you hit the mark on that. And it's always a crowd pleaser. And you get to do whatever you want to do to it. You classically season it, and then they can do anything they want to do to it to make it what they want. And then other people can leave it off or add other things. I think that's what makes like the burger just a classic, grill item.
I tell you right now, speaking of head chef and cooking, that is Jeep Wade. And that guy is cooking right now. He must have spent whatever time. I don't know what barbecue he was at, but he's owning the state of Georgia right now down there with the latest Timmy Alou in at Nebraska, picking the likes over Georgia, Florida, Clemson, so on. Give us your thoughts on Jeep, what he's doing right now, and Timmy himself.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to add Katie Jones and Jordan Agbanoma as well to that. I mean, it's Jeep Wade he's doing fantastic. I think, first of all, these are guys I think that he has existing, relationships with going back to his days at Georgia Tech, first of all. So he is able to carry forward some of the groundwork I think that he had done when he was there in Atlanta doing the same job at Georgia Tech. But I think what it also kind of just shows as well is just the legitimacy of Nebraska as a program in the state of Georgia. You mentioned it. I mean, both Jordan and Timmy chose Nebraska over the in-state Bulldogs, number one. I think number two, I think this is also very critical, is you're pulling them out of maybe not just Georgia and keeping them away from the Bulldogs. You're keeping them out of the SEC. Both those guys, I think, were scheduled to go take official visits to either or Florida and Texas A&M. I know that they were also had several other offers, had taken other visits to other schools, Auburn, Alabama. And obviously Timmy was very serious about Illinois too, and he definitely didn't want that happening. He didn't want to play against him. So I think Nebraska is doing a fantastic job. I think Jeep Wade is the guy that ultimately gets a lot of credit here. I think that the credit goes back to the spring too, where I think that, everybody kind of just knew that there was some talent in that room, and it just had to kind of be brought together by somebody out front. And I think Jeep Wade did a great job of kind of jumping in there and just taking the thing over. And I think that the room has responded. I think that is going to be the most improved unit on the team come this fall as a result of Coach Wade being there. And I think that he's obviously, they've thrown down the gauntlet on, there's been a serious change, I think, in the ideology or the thinking from Pat Stewart and Matt Rule and others. I think you have to go back now, guys, and say, I think that Nebraska finally understands you have to win with the guys up front. I mean, consider the 4 guys that they already have in the class on the offensive line. Consider that you still have, 5-star Albert Simeon, at least for the time being, scheduled to come in on June 5th. You still have Barrett Cottrell coming in. You still have Kyler Kuhn coming in. I've been hearing that Nebraska would not say that they are done at offensive line. I think that they would still take additional players at that spot as far as the class is concerned. I think it just means that there's been a total shift in thinking when it comes to Nebraska and the way that they had been doing things versus how they're going to do things going forward. And I think if that's the case, then you really got the right guy that's leading that room in Jeep Wade.
Well, with the guy in charge, Jeep Wade, what can you tell me about these 3 commits that kind of gives you some insight into what type of offensive line he's hoping to build at Nebraska? I mean, I think you can see 3 guys that I don't want to say all play similarly, but you can kind of see a vision. I want to get your thoughts on that.
No, they do play similarly. I think they're road graders, number one. I think that they do things with really strong bases and they're very athletic. I think that they can get out and reach people. I think they can get out and they can run. I think the other thing that, you can kind of collectively say about all 3, and this is probably the part that maybe they might even pride themselves on this the most, they're all finishers. They love to go out there and finish a block. There was a block that the McAfee show had on Ogbanama where he was blocking a guy out of bounds like basically like the blind side, right? And then you could put some film on there of Timmy Alou. Timmy does some of the same stuff where he just drives people into the dirt. I mean, it's like he's planting corn out there. He's trying to get 6 inches deep on some of those guys and push them into the earth. So it's very much a mentality, I think, with those guys. You could almost sense pride in how they go about doing their jobs, and I think that that's kind of where it needs to start. If you're just out there because you are 6'6" and you are 295, but you really don't care about it because you'd rather be kicking dandelions and throwing dirt clogs, it's going to show. But if it really comes down to this is the play that you get to go smash that guy, and those guys pride themselves on it, that's where you really start to see the guys that are out there that are doing it for the right reasons.
Brian, give me a little peek under the tent of coaches' relationship in the recruiting world. Obviously, and what I'm talking about is how are you feeling about now with this group with Dana at the top? Here's your offensive view. Then you got Jeep Wade getting the guys he's getting. You could go as with Ulrich, with Corey Brown at the defensive line side there. How do you feel about those guys maybe being a little more? It feels like some connection pieces are being connected that maybe hadn't been there before.
No, I think that that's probably a really good observation. I think that personality-wise, there's probably some better fits that are there now in the rooms. And I think it probably, does make for probably, some better production, between the way things need to be done, the way things are going to be done, the way that you're going to prepare every single week to the way you're going to execute things. And I think that there can really, whether it's personality or just a lack of alignment or just maybe, just kind of having a better fit there. I think it's, you'll be able to see the difference when it comes to that type of, scenario where you have better interpersonal relationships between the coaches, that will come out and it will show on the field, because there won't be any disconnects. There won't be any misunderstandings. There will be absolute, just total, like, clarity, marching towards a single goal together. You will get that based on you'll get that in the end product better when you have that kind of coaching alignment.
It's Brian Munson with us here, HuskerOnline.com, talking some Husker recruiting. And Brian, what does the future of Jeep Wade's recruiting look like in your eyes? It's a huge week. Like, how much you talked about Cottrell just a little bit. I guess how much of the 2027 class has been filled along that offensive line? You always got to continue recruiting guys even once they're in the boat, so things could still change. But does this feel like a room from the 2027 class that is almost complete at this point?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think there's a couple of other targets that I think that they would be interested in. I don't know if Albert Simeon is going to make it to Lincoln, even though he's on our visit list. And I just talked to Albert a week ago. A lot of things have changed, obviously. I mean, you've added three guys. You added three guys to the class. I know Timmy's kind of, looks like more of an offensive tackle out of the three, but he's not 6'5", he's 6'4". But I mean, Jordan and KD, really project more to be phone booth guys day one. Maybe Timmy's a guy that moves inside as you get bigger, outside. I mean, you can make that adjustment a lot easier moving down than you can out. But I think that, Nebraska is really targeting, I think, that interior offensive line, with the high school players. So maybe they feel like that is at least a spot that they feel comfortable that they can go after those guys. There's three spots, obviously, that have to be on the field at all times. Your left to right guard as well as your center. And those guys have to be capable, I think, of at least playing all three, if not all five. And that's going to probably be the way that a couple of those guys are going to kind of get on the football field. So I think it's going to come down to versatility, but I think it's also going to, Nebraska's not done quite yet. I think that they would still like to add another guy, add a fifth player to the class. You can't overlook, of course, Matthew Erickson, who I think that, while he also gets the offensive tag because he is 6'8.5", I think, you still got to kind of go back and take a look at body stature, when it comes to arm length, and you kind of have to understand if he's still a guy that you can see at tackle. And if it is, I think he plays more of a right tackle, but I think he could also be a guy that moves down inside as well. And he could play guard. So I think there's some versatility as you kind of already look at some of these guys in the group. But I think Nebraska would still take at least one. And I think you're really kind of isolating then Cottrell and Kuhn, because I do feel like Simeon likely comes off the board, and it might happen as early as next week when he goes to Texas A&M. I think A&M's the leader. A&M's doing a bang-up job, number one class in the on-three rivals rankings right now. They have got a banner group of offensive linemen already pulled together. So it would make sense because they've obviously been, towards the top of his list for several weeks now.
Brian, you mentioned Cottrell a couple of times. What's the pulse this morning? As I did see you reposted something this morning about a school that we will not name, that we don't like to talk about, that is making a push. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. But what's that pulse this morning as we start moving that way?
Well, I think that obviously Iowa's been a major player for Cottrell, the entire time, despite the fact that he is a legacy. And I think that's something I think that everybody has kind of felt from the very beginning, even going back to when Jeep Wade decided to offer him back in January, February. So I think that kind of being said, I think that things were, looked good, at least initially, but then once kind of the dust settled, I think Iowa still was just kind of standing there. And it was obviously something I don't think Nebraska could do much about. I think there is a fondness there for him when it comes to Iowa. I do think Nebraska has closed the gap significantly with him. I think he's maybe, a little bit more practical of a person. When you take a look at like what Greg Smith was saying in the article, it may become a numbers deal with him where he's saying, or thinking that you have three other interior guys already in the class. And I'm not going to play offensive tackle. So what does that mean, for me? Like getting me there, putting me there. I don't think Kyler Coone's going to be saying the same thing about that. I think Kyler is a devastatingly good offensive lineman. I think that having that wrestler mentality, I think Cottrell's got, great explosiveness, but I think that there's a little bit more there work that he would need to do to kind of see the field. I think Kyler's a little bit more prepared when it comes to that. I mean, it's not a knock on Barrett. Very few guys, come out of high school and they're walking onto a Big Ten practice field and are able to just kind of show up and just make an impact. I think it was just going to take a little while there with Barrett versus like it would with Kyler, and maybe that's something that he has in the back of his mind. But I definitely know that Nebraska's definitely not done, and there's only 3 guys left on the official visit list that are not committed to Nebraska, and Cottrell is one of those guys.
Brian Munson with us here, and Brian, as you look ahead to a big month of official visits here for Nebraska, who are the names that you have circled as guys Husker fans should be following along with, should be tracking potential commits through this month of June?
Well, I think Jalen Hill is a really big one to follow, the 4-star out of St. John Bosco High School out in Bellflower, California. I think that he's a guy that's already planning to make an announcement. I think it was like June 7th, June 6th. So it's like the weekend after he gets back from Nebraska. He's set to announce his decision. So I'd say that's a pretty good sign for the Huskers. I think you start looking then at Trey Demontagnick, the defensive tackle from Sefner, Florida, Armwood High School. He has visited Nebraska before. Loved it. Absolutely loved it this spring. And defensive line is such a huge position of need. And he's a 6'3", 270, single gap, attacking style defensive lineman, somebody that would just fit in Arch's defense like so well, because he just loves guys that are just going to get after it. I think it's just a position of need. They're going to take multiple guys there. And then maybe I'm trying to go through. I think you got to go to a linebacker now, because linebackers are interesting. So Kobe Rhymes is a name that we've all been talking about now for several months. He comes in June 5th. He's a very active, although maybe more of a 4-3 style walk-up outside guy, like a true will. So it's interesting to kind of see maybe what Nebraska has in store there with him. But I think the guy that I think everybody is, at least I am too, is getting more excited about is Henry Sakalas. And Sakalas is kind of a hybrid nickel linebacker that could drop back and play some safety. I mean, JoJo Doman kind of comes to mind a little bit when it comes to like versatility and athleticism. He's really long. He's physical. He can come downhill. He can play in space. He's trained by Jordan Westerkamp right now in Illinois. So that's tremendous as well. And Nebraska's made up some big ground with Sakalas recently, but I think, it's home state school, Illinois, Michigan State, that's where all of his family is from. It's going to be really interesting to see where he ends up going.
Again, we're speaking to Brian Muntz with HuskerOnline.com. Brian, give us a big view of Husker athletics right now. And I asked this earlier about how much momentum and how important momentum is in the entire athletic department, not just football. Yeah. Obviously, you got football. They did make a bowl game. Okay, we're checking that box. Obviously, more to come hopefully there. But when you look at what they've done, the other 4 major programs have done, whether it be volleyball, men's basketball, women's basketball, baseball, softball, where they're at right now. And that momentum, how it plays into some of these kids, and maybe I don't know if that's a part of it or not, but does it at all? And how does this year look to you if you look back on years of huge success with Nebraska sports?
Yeah, well, to kind of give you I had a funny conversation with Steve Sipple maybe a week or 2 ago. I think it was maybe about the time that, baseball was kind of wrapping up, and softball was kind of wrapping up the regular season or whatever. And I laughed and I said, I think back to these conversations in the 90s where, my Oklahoma State and Oklahoma and other friends that are fans of other teams would tell me over and over again that Nebraska was a one-trick pony. when the football program was the only successful program that Nebraska had, and now all of a sudden you get the dyslexic version of that. And that's not to take the shine away from what's happening in football, because I think that everybody understands, at least in the state, how far down the football program really was, and how and the massive rebuild, and I think the moving of the field goal post when it comes to NIL and rev share, and and having to kind of dig in there a little bit and know that you got to keep moving. It's a completely fluid situation. I think that there is a lot of things that can happen positively around a program when you have success when other programs are kind of picking it up and kind of carrying it forward. And that's obviously what you got going on right now in Lincoln, between the basketball programs, the softball program, the baseball program, the wrestling program, on and on and on. You have a great deal of success. So you can go back to that, and you can just talk about, you can preach on, being winners and being successful and running successful programs. And then you can then point towards the improvement and talk about where things were at and where things are going, and all the commitment that they're making to these, to all the facilities, like what's going on with the football stadium. And I think they're talking about maybe even like the Haymarket now too, that could potentially get some touch-ups at some point down the line. I think all those things are big sellable items, particularly to like parents and guardians when they come down there and hear things about that thing. It's ways to kind of get people in Nebraska's corner without even really, kind of going out there and just using it as like kind of a driving home point or, any type of emphasis with the recruit. But I do feel like when you do have like not just success in that one program, but everybody's winning on campus, that success breeds success. And I just feel like that's a really good recipe to kind of have all those things ready to kind of talk about how everybody else is being successful, and how the team is then looking to kind of take that next step from where they had the last two seasons.
Well, Brian, man, that's great stuff, my friend, man. Glad you are back with us on a Tuesday, man. Take care of yourself, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Lots of fun things happening in the next couple of weeks, guys.
Yes,
see ya.
Yep. Thanks, Brian. Brian Munson, HuskerOnline.com. Great stuff from him. Just told you, great stuff happening the next couple of weeks. Across the board, there's a lot of good Husker stuff coming up. So let's take our final break, come back with stories that we missed. Yeah. It's a hot one out today. Stay hydrated if you're out there.
I'm going to go get some water down a couple spots in my lawn, I think. It's going to be hot all week long. We do have to look, and it looks better today than it did yesterday, but there is the chance of rain on Friday in Lincoln.
There is now?
The chances is less today than it was yesterday. And we know forecasts are ever changing.
Yeah, this one just says it kind of, yeah. Boy, if it pans out right now, is whether you're looking at, it's like an 83-degree day.
It looks like Friday, chance of rain in the afternoon, 20% is about 40%.
Yeah, it's about,
it's dropping.
That's like telling me that the wind's going to blow 10 to 20 in Lincoln. You're like, okay, tell me what I don't know.
Okay, so it's an average Tuesday.
Yeah. Tell you what, there was a day. Was it Memorial Day? Was it not Memorial Day? Friday or Saturday? Saturday, probably. Oh, that was a top 3 day.
Oh,
no, like variable winds.
Perfect high temperatures in like high 70s.
Yeah, maybe hit the low. Oh my goodness.
And then that evening, like when the sun went down, it was like the perfect level of cool outside. Ooh.
Yeah, it was incredible.
It was a good day.
We were very blessed this weekend.
I'm gonna find a song here, huh?
It's an interesting story.
Got some thoughts here on other regionals in baseball. If you want to get into that.
Yeah. I got an MLB stat that is like crazy. Where do I want to go to that? I want to go right here. Where's that? They have it.
Coming back.
There we go. Welcome back to the Morning Hookup. Special thanks to Brian Munson at HuskerOnline.com. We are going to dive in. Let's dive in and look a little reading. What are some stories we missed? I want to throw you this stat for. We're going to look at some regionals, ones that intrigue us coming up for baseball. I took this screenshot because it blew my mind. And it's a stat of the most 100-mile-an-hour pitches thrown this season in Major League Baseball. You seen this? Nope. No. Pitcher. Per pitcher. Oh. So at the bottom. So this is this season. San Diego Padres, is it Morjon? He's throwing 57. Enriquez for the Dodgers, 128. Mason Miller, 147. Total 100-mile pitch, over 100. Is it, I can never say his name right. Brewers pitcher, Merlarsker,
whatever.
That guy. 311. Oof. Here's the crazier stat. Mizorowski, by the way. I just got it in my head. Mizorowski. On Monday alone, 57 pitches in the game, over 100 plus. Most since the stat tracked in 2008. In a game.
That used to be how many a team would throw across the season.
And he's lights out.
Honestly, that is more in one game than your average MLB team 15 years ago would throw across.
He threw more in one game than the guy who's thrown that the guy in fourth place is throwing. The same game. They tied.
That's crazy.
And his stats are silly. Like, I think he's the I was going to call him the Heisman, but he is the Cy Young frontrunner in the National League right now. His stats are silly. I think he's on a 29 and some change scoreless streak too. Sorry, I just had to. I was like, this isn't real. 311 for the year, 57 in one game. Regional baseball.
Yeah.
What do you like? What's it? There's one that intrigues me because I think this team is. I don't want to say they're under the radar screen, but they are just because they're not in a conference. Oregon State. How about they put them in the same region with Oregon?
And funny enough, Washington State as well.
Yeah.
Should take the teams without a conference, put them all in one region.
My gosh, just put them in there. Oregon State has a really great chance to come out of that region.
As you look across, I agree with you. And the pair rankings gives them a 41% chance to get out of that regional, which I believe is the best 2-seed odds in the country. It is. Followed up by Arkansas, who's got a 38% chance. As you look across the regionals, did Nebraska get the most difficult draw?
Boy, it's way up there. Don't they have the lowest chance as a 1 seed to get out of the region? I think is what it said.
They do. They're sub 50%. And I believe they're the only 1 seed that's sub 50%.
I think so. That would tell you what you're up against. But obviously, with Ole Miss, I think Ole Miss makes that take out the 4 seed. We know where that is with South Dakota State, a dramatic win. But you mentioned it. Those two teams in there, I think you said it. They've hit over 100 home runs in this thing.
I think what makes Lincoln difficult is not necessarily the 2 seed. Ole Miss is a good baseball team.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fact that you got Arizona State as a 3 seed. You got the best 3 in the country in the Lincoln Regional. That's what makes things tough.
Agree.
I think if you're looking across the 2 seeds, Kansas got a brutal draw with getting Arkansas.
Good for them. They're a bunch of whiners right now.
Arkansas that's a tough draw to Lawrence, but the other two teams, Missouri State and Northeastern, they're not pushovers, but that feels like a 2-team regional in Lawrence.
Yep. You feel like Texas walked away with the easiest region out there. I just saw their draw. Yeah. Now I'm not dogging these teams, but on paper you go Holy Cross, Tarleton State, UC Santa Barbara.
Yeah, it's a pretty good draw.
Welcome to the Super Regional.
Georgia also got a pretty good draw. Athens. They got Boston College, Liberty, and Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty good draw for them.
It's a really good draw for them. Mississippi State probably end up with a nice draw.
There's one team here I'd like to make light of that is not in the field, and they had to talk about this on the selection show yesterday. Mercer not making it is, that is a shock. I thought they were going to be in as a 3 seed somewhere. But they didn't get there at large. They get left out after going 44-15 this season.
Yep, there's a snub.
Number 28 in the RPI. Now you could make the argument similar to USC, and their strength of schedule was 118th in the country, and their non-conference strength of schedule was 218th in the country. They only had 5 quad 1 wins or 5 quad 1 opportunities this year. They went 1-4. They went 9-9 in quad 2, but they went 7-1 in quad 3 and 27-1 in quad 4. They get left out.
Few notables not in there this year as well.
Yeah.
You talk about
LSU.
LSU
Defending national champ didn't make
out.
it.
Vandy out, breaking their streak of 19 consecutive appearances.
Mm-hmm.
Now I believe Florida holds that, right? 13,
13 or 14. Is this their 14th or is this their
maybe
13th?
I don't know. It's one of those, but they hold the longest consecutive streak now.
That Gainesville regional is kind of fun. Florida and Miami.
Oh yeah,
you usually get Troy and a rider.
NCAA always has good stories,
but if you're just picking, if you could only watch one regional, if you throw Nebraska fandom to the side, I think Lincoln Regional is the one to watch. It's wide open between those top 3.
And I think they've told you that by sending, again, I go back to it, Carl Ravitch and Kyle Peters. They've told you, hey, this is the one we're locked in on. One, you got the storyline the first time since 2008, but look at the teams. There's some intriguing storylines in that one.
The Oregon Regional is also fun, but it ain't Nebraska.
It's not.
The Lincoln Regional is the most wide open. I'll also be intrigued with the College Station Regional with USC going as the 2 seed to A&M.
Mm-hmm.
I think USC's got the pitching to end up being in the winner's bracket come Sunday.
Yep.
Now, what can they do from there with that dangerous Texas A&M lineup? We shall see. But I think they have enough with their Friday and Saturday pitchers to go out there and make it to Sunday in the winner's bracket.
Is that? I mean, we'll talk a lot about it coming up. The question for me being for Nebraska is the one thing that has anxiety to it. It's the lineup. Our hitting. We've been really, really good at times, but we've also laid some eggs in some series. That'll be one thing I'll be looking at because I think I feel like pitching wise, you know what you're going to get. You're just going to get it, right? Dudes that are going to throw, but it's the hitting side. Can at times in those games, whoever we're playing, let's not assuming you get past game 1, you're going to get one of those teams that hit the baseball. Can your bats keep up with their bats?
Well, do you think that is it about the bats or is it about the pitching? That's what's interesting. In an offensive regional, hey, you're not going to win many games. If any games this weekend, putting up 2 runs, like you're going to need to be putting up 6, 7, 8 runs in games to give yourself a chance to win, which would make you think on its face, well, it's about the bats then. But you could argue 1 or 2 guys that step up out of the pen could be the difference in this regional.
Mm-hmm.
If you get a guy out of the pen that goes out there and gives you a 2 and change, doesn't give up any runs, that is a huge win in this region. That could be the difference between a team that goes home this weekend and a team that's playing in a super regional. That's what's interesting is as offensive as this is, you could make an argument it's more about who steps up in the bullpen. So
it's going to be a lot of fun. Friday, 3:00. Downtown will be insane.
What a weekend. Thursday night softball. That's very loud. I do apologize. Thursday night softball, Friday afternoon baseball. Baseball and softball probably coming to you on a Saturday. It'll be a weekend.
Be a lot. Coming up tomorrow, we're going to go around the diamond, do some Major League Baseball tomorrow. We'll talk more regional baseball and Husker legend Henry T. Buchanan. Boy, enjoy this. It feels like summer started now. We're there. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Tuesday. Sit back. We'll be back. We'll be right back on a Wednesday. I had a thought.